having an expectation of being good or failing in your first, 6 months is what sets people up for failure, as opposed to like, I'm gonna spend the next 3 months just trying to figure it out, good and bad. Oh, that worked, data point. That didn't work. And make sure to come blow out the candles on your fruit and cheese plate.
There's candles on it?
No.
Okay, good.
I lied about that.
What's so special about this dip?
I don't know.
Jeannie said it's like crack.
Jeannie was like, what do you want? And I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna try fruit. Not yet.
No, Caleb will fix it. It's called aperture, okay?
What happened?
Oh, look at you throwing out words like aperture.
I was saying, let's go. There's a Medici. There's a little coffee shop.
Imposter syndrome. It's when people don't feel confident in their role because they feel like an imposter, like they don't deserve to be there. Especially as people kind of graduate from entry level to mid-level and mid-level to director level.
I get that. That makes a ton of sense. A lot of it, I think, is maybe worried about other people's judgment and like how they feel about you. Hey, what's up? An 80-20 Arnold Palmer. Caleb, you want anything? Grandpa's old rocking chair. I feel like the rocking chairs are like out of vogue now. Do you ever go to a friend's house and see a rocking chair anymore?
No, never.
No, never. But everyone, I bet, you're from the Midwest, 100% chance you had a rocking chair.
Oh yeah.
And it's probably like an antique.
I call it the grandma chair.
100%.
Because it literally is. How can people move away from it's just luck that got me here and into recognizing their personal achievements that might have got them to the next level?
Maybe you get scared, like you're in unfamiliar territory, right? So you rise to a certain level and then all of a sudden you're like, man, I was a master at this other thing and now I'm here, and like, do I really belong here? Am I good enough to be here? To just being like, okay, I'm gonna feel like an imposter for a little bit, but if every day I feel more comfortable, I lean into it, then it becomes easier. I think that's a lot of it, just habit building and just, feeling really uncomfortable for like, the first 30 days, and it gets better and better and better.
Obviously, with any new role, you should expect initial failure.
Yeah.
So how can you kind of not get defeated by that initial failure and feel like you don't deserve to be there?
Yeah, an expectation of being good or failing in your first, 6 months is what sets people up for failure, as opposed to like, I'm gonna spend the next 3 months just trying to figure it out, good and bad. Oh, that worked, data point. That didn't work, data point. They're constantly looking for like win, as opposed to like just moving fast and getting a bunch of data points. And I think there's just like a lot of emotion tied to like getting a win versus not putting that pressure on yourself early on. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. It's like, okay, cool, hey, I learned, here's what I learned. Okay, now I'm gonna try something else. Don't put that pressure on yourself in the first, 60 days at least. Yeah, how do you describe like funny bone pain?
I think that's why we call it the funny bone.
But it's not funny.
No, it's not funny.
Nothing's funny about it.
It hurts, but it doesn't like hurt. Well,
I started meditating again, Caleb.
But are you being present when you just acknowledge your funny bone pain and you pay
That's
attention?
what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, you pay attention to the pain.
And you say thoughts. The imposter syndrome, like I've got to this level. Like once you understand how the internet and Google works, like it goes back to it like, oh, you don't know how to do this thing that you're now asked to do, Google it. Nobody goes from one role to the next, it's like, it's all the exact same. Or if they do, like there's no growth there.
Yeah.
That's just comfort. If you want to avoid imposter syndrome, just stay in your current role.
Yeah, I guess.
Never get to proficiency and just keep doing it.
Yep.
You'll never feel imposter syndrome.
Because you won't
Because you're never out of your proficiency zone.
Yep. Feels good out today.
It's musty. It's musty. It's a twinge of must. It's not like a deep must. It's like a hint of must.
Like a locker room, but at like SoulCycle.
Maybe, okay. There needs to be a little bit more eucalyptus.
A lot of people who feel like quote unquote others in the workplace feel imposter syndrome simply because of the fact that they don't see other people who look or feel like them. How can leaders recognize that and take diversity more seriously in their hiring process?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, I grew up in a sales culture, right? And sales culture doesn't get more kind of bro white male than any. And I think what I learned is that with a lot of leaders, the reason that they hire the way they do is that a lot of people think that like the best way to hire is, look, I'm good at the job or the family job, so I'm gonna look for people with those traits. And I think I realized this very early on in my sales leadership career. It just wasn't the case. That I had, men who were slightly more introverted, women who were slightly more extroverted, people who might have been like more analytical. Like there's a whole bunch of different like personas that I realized very early on. And so I think my teams, especially male, female, have always been like 50-50 in particular, which is odd in a sales environment. Same thing as like sales leadership. So I think a lot of it is we have a lot of biases built into our interviewing process and our hiring process. And so they tend to look for, they're almost like too basic. And so they only look at these similar things as opposed to like these other things that also equal like proficiency or being good at the job.
Yeah.
So I think I think it really is that simple. That if you've been doing the same thing for 6 to 12 months and it's not working, like maybe you're just not talented for that role.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I think a lot of people pass that judgment on themselves like real early in like the data point process. I just feel like there's not a lot of benefit in constantly, because imposter, right, is about comparing yourself to others. Am I really putting forth the effort to have my head down? Am I working really hard? And then letting the market tell you, like, can you be successful? You know what I mean? Like, you'll see the results, but don't look for the results too early.